We're talking about writing and presenting, and we've talked about the pre-writing. Now we're looking at drafting. Just remember that if you're doing explanations, you might be asked to do a diagram as well. Steps in your writing process: when you are drafting, write the rough draft before the final one. And you might like to start with a general statement to introduce the topic. Here's an example. A cell phone is a complicated instrument that is very easy to use. Then you need a series of logical steps to explain how something works. So we're talking about the cell phone. So you might write, cell phone screen shows the information you type. You can type a phone number or an SMS. Then maybe you are going to develop that. You're going to say, when you've typed the phone number, press the call button, which is usually green. Or after you type your SMS message, press the send button. Remember, you're always going to think about the appropriate words that are needed for the text that you are writing. Organize your ideas in a logical sequence. We've talked about this, so that the explanation flows smoothly. Read your drafts critically and get feedback from your teacher, from your classmates. Evaluate your own and other people's writing so that you can improve. Work on the sequencing and linking of paragraphs. What does that mean? Sequence the order of the paragraphs, linking how this one links to that one. Obviously, grammar, spelling, and punctuation. And let's look at an example. What if you got this task? Write directions to a place of public interest or a local landmark. A landmark is something that everybody knows about, a place. If you're asked to write directions to a local landmark, you might be asked to present your answer in the form of a dialogue where one person is helping a stranger. Again, you're pre-writing. What structure, the aspects of language that we've talked about, but now you might also use the simple future tense. Because if you're talking to somebody, you might say, well, you will go down here and you will turn there. So just remember you could use the future. If it's a dialogue, your register will be semi-formal. It won't be very slangy and colloquial because you're talking to a stranger. So there's a politeness, but it won't be stiffly formal either. We've talked about conjunctions. We've talked about logical connectors that signal time. We've talked about so and this causes and because, so the same things that you're going to be considering. But if you're giving directions, you're probably going to use the active voice. Remember we said active? You're going to say, you will go, you will turn, you will see. Remember the purpose, audience, and context of a piece of writing. It's very important. Now we're in a dialogue. You're talking to somebody, you're giving them directions. That's your purpose. Your context is where are you? Where are you standing when you're giving these directions? And the audience, the person to whom you are speaking. Always brainstorm ideas. Get your ideas going. You might like to use a mind map. Here I've given you some examples. This is not a mind map, but this is your brainstorming. So you say to yourself, okay, somebody asks me about a park. So I'm going to say something like, where are we now? We're in First Avenue. Then maybe I'll talk about a robot. Then maybe I'll say turn left and that'll be High Street. And then how far must this person go? Maybe 2 blocks. What will they see? Well, maybe a dry cleaner's shop. Then what about where they'll turn? They've got to turn somewhere. Turn right. What will I call the street? Maybe it's Hill Street. I need a landmark. People like a landmark. You know, when you're giving directions, people like to know there'll be this shop, or you'll see a church, or you'll see a school, because it helps the person to know that they're in the right place. So there's a church. Well, what will the church's name be? I'll call it St. Stephen's. Then turn left into Park Road. Then I'll see a school and the park on your right. And then maybe the person wants to know how long it's going to take to walk. So maybe I'll tell them maybe 15 minutes. Maybe that's too long. Maybe I'll make it 5 minutes. So you are brainstorming. You're putting your ideas down. Remember always, ask for the criteria that you are going to be judged on. How is this going to be marked? Then you make sure your ideas are in a logical order. These are directions. They really have to start here and end there. There isn't any choice about this. Write your rough draft, and what do we get? Could you please tell me how to get to the park? No problem. Where are we now? In First Avenue. Go straight along till you get to the robot that you can see there. Turn left into High Street and go up for 2 blocks. On the corner, you'll see a dry cleaner's shop. Turn right there into Hill Street and go along till you see a church on your right. That's St. Stephen's. Turn left into Park Road, past the school, and you'll see the park on your right. It'll take you about 15 minutes. It's semi-formal because you've got contractions. Otherwise, it's quite formal. And the stranger will say, thank you. And we're going to continue to talk about writing and presenting in our next segment.